Well folks, here we are already, the last build of pack number 22. These weeks always fly by, the second to last build, and this one is contrary to how it looks and the signature in the name. It's not a fictional car, it actually is a real one. This is not one of my signature series builds, it's an Afshar signature ESX STi. Now Subaru fans will probably be familiar with this, but most of you, I would imagine, probably aren't, because this is a deep cut reference, a super rare, extremely exclusive version of this generation of the Impreza, and I actually think it's a really admirable goal behind it, because Afshar wanted to, in particular in North America, develop a car which was the ultimate Subaru of the time. But here's the crucial thing, because obviously you could just say give it 1,000 horsepower and job done, but what he wanted to do was have a car which was Subaru approved, something which was essentially still like a warranty forecourt quality machine, which even could pass emissions tests in all 50 states, but still be the ultimate aftermarket Subaru. And he achieved that, because this is a beast of a car. It is essentially, although with no way near the recognition, pretty much the Subaru equivalent of a Mitsubishi FQ400, except if I recall, I think this might have actually been earlier than the FQ400. It's a 425 horsepower, so imagine how quick that must be, version of the Subaru, which looks virtually identical to this. So top marks to the player who created the livery. Of course, give them some love. It's not exactly like one of those liveries that goes super viral, because as I said, most people don't even know about the car. No, what I've done is trying to essentially follow most of what we can do compared to what he's done to the car in real life. Now, some things we haven't changed, which usually we would, such as, spoiler alert, the transmission and even the suspension. But it seems to me like he hasn't really altered too much there. I could be wrong, but from images and articles online, they do list some of the modifications, and it mostly focuses on the engine, which I guess if you are trying to keep the car under warranty, well, it wouldn't necessarily be easy on that. Or not even just warranty, but being Subaru approved. If you start messing around with suspension and stuff, it's probably a bit more of an awkward area. And let's be honest, it's not like a Subaru really necessarily needs to have the suspension and the handling reworked. It's pretty much already good to go in that regard. Giving it more power though, well, it's kind of like the opposite of what I say about muscle cars. With a muscle car, sort out the handling, the power takes care of itself. In something like an Evo or a Subaru, it's pretty much the opposite. Take care of the power and the handling is already there. Just give it more horsepower, more acceleration, job done. So as far as what we've done, you actually don't need the sports silencer. This is one of those occasions where I fitted a couple of different exhausts to not only get the right horsepower, but also visually see which one looked better. So don't bother with that. I do have the sports pads, because you've got to have a little bit of fun somewhere, slow the car down a bit. As far as the tyres, it's got sports hards anyway, so I've just left those on there. As far as the club sports section, we actually have nothing fitted there at all. As far as the semi-racing stuff, that is the exhaust which you actually do want, the semi-racing silencer. We've got the ECU, the high RPM turbo, so a proper hefty bit of kit on this one. The fully customised diff, as far as the racing stuff, the balance tuning, race intercooler and filter. I have again gone for racing discs. You could say that's overkill, but I thought, you know what, I could imagine an owner of one of these doing something like that to it, a further modification to make it even more of a track car, so you could always not do it if you wanted to. The centered diff, I actually haven't even bothered with. If I recall, and we'll see in a second, I'm pretty sure it already has a 50-50 split if memory serves, so you could fit it if you want to, I guess, but I would definitely say you don't need to for this one. We've got nothing at all on the extreme section, and nothing for the ultimate section either. So given how crazy of a Subaru this is, and that it was essentially intended to be the ultimate Subaru in real life, it's actually fairly minimal in terms of what you've actually done to the car. 425 horsepower in a 1460 kilo frame, and I wasn't able to find out what the actual weight of the car is in real life. Obviously with modifications it is definitely different, but it's hard to say what the weight actually is. He may know, but I couldn't find those specs online. And even in terms of point level, it's not bad. Just under 560 is fairly modest for a car with that kind of acceleration and even top-end power. So, as far as the suspension, first of all, it sounds super high, but, well, actually, I'm saying as far as suspension, force of habit, we haven't done anything to the suspension, so that's why it looks high. And spoiler alert, the handling's great anyway, so you don't need to worry. As far as the diff though, I've gone for pretty conservative numbers. In fact, if I recall, I think I might have actually just copied essentially what it already had, almost exactly, if not exactly. So 5 and 7 for the initial torque, 12 and 20 for the acceleration, and then 6 and 10 for the decel, which begs the question, why bother changing it? I guess you don't really have to, but much like with the torque split, where you can change it on the go, I kind of like the idea sometimes of having it so that then you can change it if you want to, even if you don't necessarily need to. You know, just having your options open kind of thing. So, like I said, you don't necessarily need to change that. As far as all the stuff here, pretty much nothing has changed. The downforce, of course, is already what it is. And over here, it's job done, because it's barely anything to do. So like I said, it's a super simple build, not overly expensive either. And yet the results, well, potentially it could be ballistic. So all that remains is to see, is it? Let's take it out to the track and find out. Now, once again, I forgot to add in, but the shrewd among you will have noticed at the start of the video, if you download the player's livery onto this one, which I would recommend for sure, because it's a great looking livery, they've changed the wheels. From what I can see online, it looks like most, if not all of these, actually have like the standard style gold wheels. So I just changed those for the standards, and I think I set them to be wider, or like to fill out the arches a bit more, and that's basically the only change I made. In terms of actually driving the car, the one note I will give, and this is unsurprising given that you've got so much more power, virtually 200 horsepower more, close enough, in a car which has standard springs and nearly 1500 kilos, is that it's a little bit bouncier than you'd expect through corners, but it's great to drive. It's got so much grip, it's super forgiving, and if the real car handles and performs anything like this interpretation of it does, then yeah, I can see why it would be the ultimate Subaru of the time. Even if it's not the best known necessarily, it's nowhere near as well known, I would argue, as stuff like the Litchfield, or even for the Evo, stuff like the Mines, etc., or the Extreme Evos, and yet, this thing it's monstrously good. I think it probably doesn't help that the visuals do look a little bit more on the boy racer side of things, which is a shame because underneath it is a proper special bit of kit. If you are a Subaru fan, chances are you probably already know about it. If this car is new to you though, well yeah, welcome to a gem, an undervalued gem, an unsung hero, if you will, when it comes to these builds. If then you do decide to use this one, of course, I hope you enjoy it. You could definitely get plenty of use out of it given how modest the point level is, and that leaves, of course, only one build left. Speaking of signatures, my own Signature Series F. We'll get to why it's called the F in that video later today. Of course, check out the other ones from earlier in the week if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.